Ellen.
It's so hard for me not to say good morning when I walk in.
Why?
It's all
I
relative.
don't know, it's just like
Motherhood is relative.
my default, you know? Good morning.
Same amount of light, I guess.
Yeah. Shortest day of the year, Friday.
Yeah, it's coming up.
But Thursday, 5 to 6 inches of snow.
Really?
Wouldn't that be great? We'll see what happens.
Wow. I hadn't heard.
They promise a lot of stuff.
This is you?
Yeah,
Oh,
and Skip.
okay. Well, who took the picture?
Our
Child?
daughter, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Norway.
Oh, way, oh, yeah.
See.
The Vikings game tonight, too.
Oh, yeah.
If you're into that sort of thing.
Who are they playing?
Chicago Bears.
Oh, okay.
So does that mean it'll be a short meeting?
No, we can do our business as usual.
We can yell out scores.
Doesn't, yeah.
Doesn't start till 7:30 or so.
Feel
I don't even know if it's on TV. I mean, it's obviously on TV
Yeah.
somewhere, but.
Somewhere.
Well, it is 6:30. Get this. 6:30, we'll commence a call to order our December 16th, 2024 Lake Elmo Parks Commission meeting. Please join in the Pledge of Allegiance by standing. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next order of business is to approve tonight's agenda. Anybody wants to make such a motion?
I move to approve tonight's agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
And with the audio only, we should say, I just realized we should say who's making the motion. If you could state that you made the motion, your name,
Okay. Pat Barrett, I made the motion to approve the agenda.
and who seconded it?
Mike Elam, second the motion.
And from my left to right, are you in
Esh, I.
Barrett, aye.
Oh, sure. Oh, you're going to.
Gassler, aye?
Bullshire, aye.
Third side.
Elam, aye.
That is unanimous. We have an agenda for tonight. And we'll move on to approving minutes. We can take a minute to read that over. Make sure everything is in order. If not, we could take a motion to amend those minutes.
Esh, can I make a motion to approve the minutes from November?
You may. Is there a second?
Barrett,
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Third,
Go ahead.
second.
And all those in, well, again, from left to right.
Esh, I.
Barrett, aye.
Castler, aye.
Bullshire, aye.
Third side.
Elam, aye.
That is unanimous. We've approved minutes from November 18th, 2024. And I don't see anybody in the audience for public comment. So we will move on to the agenda item of Kleist Playground.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. Part of our work plan for 2025 is to review and possibly update the Kleist Playground set. So I apologize, you can't see presentation here, but the Kleist Playground, you do have some information in your packet there, and I'll just add a little bit to that. So the Kleist Playground was initially placed in 1993. It's exceeded that 25-year lifespan that we've kind of set forth to try to manage throughout our playground sets. In 2021, we had a community survey which we reviewed Kleist Park. 90% of those respondents recommended replacement. And again, we always talk about the people that did respond to that, the low number. We did have 90% that did recommend that replacement. As part of our Parks Master Plan too, replacement of this playground set was also recommended during that time too. Part of the staff's recommendations of this park is to move the playground set to the east. So it's currently kind of set in the it'd be set in the southwest part of that park next to the woods. We're just trying to move it right over to the east just a little bit, right in that center opening. There was a couple oak trees that have been removed in the last couple of years, and so that kind of has opened that area up a little bit. That will create a little better viewing area of that park, so it's more visible from both 53rd Avenue and Jamaica. Is it Road or Boulevard? Boulevard. So just make it a little more viewable in that area as well. Staff is considering a trail. I did have two options on there. We would consider one of the trail options. It wouldn't be a perfect loop, but it would come off of 53rd and kind of loop right down to the playground set. Again, about 2 years ago, we've kind of been trying to implement some ADA compliance with our parks, and this would be one way that I think we could do that, is implementing a trail with a ramp from the road all the way down to the parking, or to our playground set. We would install 4 to 5 trees as well with this project. Again, would likely be around that playground set, just to incorporate some shade in the future. Installing benches, I know that was a consideration with our Demontreville and our Pebble Park, so we would consider that as well. I would leave that open up to the commission of either we want 1 or 2. We'd include a picnic table in this area too. This park does have a grill, so that is probably one item that is missing from this park is that picnic table. So.
I didn't hear what your last words. One part that's missing.
A part that's missing probably from that park is like a structural picnic table that stays there, right? So with that, I'll open it up for questions or discussion. And some of the things I'd like to reiterate would be, are there any specific items that you'd like to see in the playground set itself? And then are there any other considerations that we should consider for the park as well when looking at this project? So I know in the past we had a prior commissioner that always wanted a pole, right? A sliding pole, or I know in the future as well, when we did take down the swing set, that was something that we got a lot of calls on. I was like, when are we going to replace it? And we did actually bring that forward, but we did exceed that CIP limit that we weren't able to do that at that time. We didn't have it in our budget to pay for, and so that's why we brought it back to include that in that project. So staff would recommend including a swing set. Before, we did have a 6-place swing set there. We would consider at least or a minimum of 4 at this site. So, but I do open that up for comment and questions from the commission in regards to specific items we'd like to see there or anything else we'd like to add there at this time.
Well, I have a question, Adam, and you kind of set up this question, I feel like. Have you or other staff ever looked into like accessible play equipment? So not only would the play structure be accessible via ADA, but also like more accessible playground equipment itself.
So that was one thing that was actually brought up when we did the Pebble Park playground set. That one there was actually it was more geared towards that. I shouldn't say it was advertised as that, but it was accessible for that type of feature. I think when talking to a lot of our vendors now, there's always aptitudes of these playground sets having abilities to be adaptive to people with disabilities. If it be just accessibility or being able to access it. You know, to be able to get up onto this, like a platform and utilize things like that. So, yeah, so as far as a full playground set that's just for adaptive, we did not consider this site for that. So,
Okay, okay, thank you.
Just, can I jump in on that one too? Because with the moving of the school south, it would be nice to have something at this park, on the north side, in other words. So,
one thing I will add is we are considering, it is in your packet as well, is that 5 to 12-year-old. I think if we look back when this playground was in set and look at the manual, this one's geared more toward, the one that's currently there is geared more towards that 4 to 7. But I think they've more standardized those numbers throughout the years. When you do look at our parks master plan, they do say let's be more open and adaptive of like spreading these things around. Part of that 2021 survey too did talk about making more things available for teens, right? So that's why we kind of floated that way of going to that 5 to 12 to kind of include them, to keep them some things that might be attractive to them, as well as still having those things like the swing and just maybe some things that those 5-year-olds would use as well in that area. That area itself, it might be geared more, it's not going to be your brand new families coming in there, but in a mixture, we might have some older people that have been there for a while in that area. If you look at that half-mile radius that our Parks Master Plan does look at, you might not see the population that you might see downtown or, you know, a park that's right here, but you will see an area that will be considered probably population being older than being younger, so,
I think that's changing.
yeah, I would agree.
It did.
Yeah.
I've been, a new family just moved in this past week on Jamaica, and there's other younger families moving in. So I think there'll be more use than there has been in recent years at Kleist.
Which is good, yeah.
Adam, just clarification on the location. Moving it to the east, we're talking just not several feet. How many feet would you estimate, just so I know where you're at?
you know,
I know
so
it's kind of hard because we don't have the audio.
So we look at
visual.
that opening, I would say that openings might be like, what, 75 to 100 yards? Would you
Okay.
agree? So I would say splitting that in half. So if it was 100 yards, we'd be moving it about 50 yards right to the
Okay.
middle of that.
I've just, we're still back in that corner, just more centering it.
Yep, centering it. If this does come live, we'll show you what I'm proposing.
Okay.
It is moving it actually to the north a little bit too.
Okay.
The future dimensions of a playground about that size that would incorporate the safety standards that we have today would probably be about a 50 by 50, similar to what we might have that we just placed at DeMontreville. I think that one's 70 by 50. But this next one would probably be in that same range, about 50 by 50, concrete apron all the way around. But yeah, it would go like just directly to the northeast a little bit. So.
Okay, that makes sense. I think I'm looking at a map now. And then the trail that you're proposing potentially asphalt trail, is that the trail that's already there?
No. So this
Okay.
would be a new trail. We would actually, what's already there, we'd either improve or, if we went on the other side of it, it would depend on our vendor, what they would choose to make sure that we could make that ADA compliance. That ADA compliance is less than like 7% grade, or there is a percentage that we would have to meet. So we would work with him to see which avenue would be able to make that percentage the easiest.
Okay. Because on the map that you had made, there's an informal path on the one side, but I think there is another path on the other side of the playground, correct?
Correct, yep, that goes out to.
So,
yeah.
but we're talking about something altogether different. Okay, thank you, that helps.
But we could eventually, with those new shelters that we're proposing, combine the shelter, the grill, and the bench in a location. That would be a possibility, too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great idea, Hank, as we progress with this, as I propose to move that kind of out of that back corner up to the middle, that does open up a larger area, in the, I should say, the south end for something that would be similar.
Yeah, I just wanted to keep that in the back of our mind.
Yeah.
Here's another question unrelated to the playground itself. So Clyde's Park is non-reservable. I'm just curious if you or other staff have any thoughts about the use of the ball field at this particular location.
So, what we have found as far as maintenance on that ball field, and again, our maintenance there might be limited just to like dragging it, initially out of the spring, a couple days a week, or once a week, and then throughout the year, it probably progresses down, is that it probably doesn't get used as much as what we might see at Stonegate, right? Or we might see, especially downtown, or even Tablin Park. So, yeah, that ball field, as far as use, I would say is gonna be more like just your neighborhood kids just picking up a game to play versus us being asked if, a team could use it on 2 or 3 nights a week for, practice.
Okay.
Are you looking for, I know most of this is geared towards the playground, but are you looking for input on the entire park itself at this point, or?
Yeah, if it is something that we would consider, cost effectively wise, we do have budgeted for this playground itself in our CIP of 65,000. If it would be an item or something we're considering to add to this park, now would probably be the time. As far as like, it's still, financially meets our standards, right? So we might still set out, hey, let's, not to exceed 100,000, but include a playground set at X amount of dollars, include this, whatever it may be, so.
Yeah, I guess I'm more alluding to what was just raised as far as the ball field. I recognize that it's already there and people don't like to have things taken away. I'm of the perspective we have something like 9 to 11 recreational ball fields, and part of our master plan is to have unique items at different locations for each site, and given the amount of use I see at that, I would just personally think that something in its place might be beneficial. And then you're going to ask what, and I don't know what that is, but even the number of soccer fields that we have, I think are way less than the ball field. So just throw that out there.
So, yeah, if you ask, what's the central element of this park? Well, obviously, it's the ballpark, which doesn't get used.
The grill.
The grill is never used.
The grill, well, the
Never
playground's
seen
what's
it
Unique,
used.
though, it's unique.
Yes.
But, so we tuck that in the corner, so that's the thing to think about. And of course, it's, to me, always up against our favorite pickleball court. You put a pickleball court and that'll be packed. But I don't think that's exactly right, because it's more of a neighborhood park. I don't know what the exact classification is, but it's probably a big neighborhood park. It's just something to think about, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's where I was coming from, is I would put that on the table as a potential change for the future, again, from the larger context of, we're looking at adding ball fields, more competition level ball fields. We want uniqueness. We have plenty of ball fields. This might be one that can.
But this seems to me, and I don't know the land well enough, that you could probably convert it to soccer pretty easily.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah.
2001 proposals that park did include a soccer field. that actually went east and west at the end of the baseball field. Nothing else progressed with that, you know, but I'll back up a little bit and maybe ask, Peter, is your intentions to maybe move the playground set to the baseball field?
Well, no, I actually am, I like the way it is back in that area, that is a great spot for it. No, that's why I kind of asked whether you're looking
Yeah.
for feedback on the entire location. 'Cause I don't necessarily think that needs to be done. But I'm just, as a park in totality, I think that ball field, as Hank says, that could consider, have that on our list of things for considerations of changes. Maybe it's an adult fitness area, like a, you know, number of workout, stations, I guess is the word I'm looking for, that sort of thing. Yeah. Something unique, something that gets used.
I think it would be nice to have something for older kids too, instead of sitting in that bridge and smoking. You know, something for them to do in the park. And maybe a soccer field would be something more useful.
You know, in those comments, soccer nets are pretty inexpensive, but, you know, still gather, you know, just like we did in Pilot Park, we put 2 nets there. I think it cost us about $4,000. That would be something, we could, you know, you could always put them there, and if it doesn't work, those are definitely movable assets that we could take to a different park. So it might be something worth putting in on this one, is to include 2 soccer nets, to see how it works.
Are there further questions or clarifications? And also, I'll ask, are you looking for, it doesn't look like you're looking, this just discussion for today, you're looking for any sort of motion or?
Yeah, actually, I'm looking for, just some feedback from the commissioners as far as what I need to take to those vendors to say,
Yeah.
yes, we want 5 to 12. Are we looking for, you know, with our funds that we do have, we know what we can get for 80,000? That's kind of the Demontreville size, right? That 125,000 is gonna be more your Pebble Park, size. So, you know, if you guys have a number in mind that we wanna stay in, or recommend to them, and then I can bring back those sample items at our next meeting to say this is what future proposals are, or this is what we could be looking at for an installation there. But if you have specifics on what you want in that playground set, now would be the time then.
I would be in favor of as wide of age range as possible, but sort of veering towards older rather than really young, if that makes sense. I mean, I don't know that you can go
You just
full
don't want-
range of.
You don't want a tot lot there, but at the same
Right.
time want something that
Right.
would encourage, yep. Good.
That would be my input. I am in favor of, and I don't know if this is still, I'm in favor of those swing sets getting back in there. We heard, that's just based on hearing from a number of people through the months
Right.
inquiring about those swing sets, so I think they are missed. And that, I guess, I would favor a range of, I know you could get a tot swing plus just regular swings fairly easily, I would think.
Yeah, once the structure's currently there, then we can mix several things through.
Other input?
I do like the thought of removing the ball field. I think there'd be more use, if we're gonna look at an older playground set, I think the soccer net would get more use out of it that way. We have a lot of these kind of neighborhood ballparks through the city, and I'm not sure this is a good one that we might be able to get rid of. We've got enough of them.
Definitely in favor of seating options
Commissioners, are you in favor of the, along with seating options, the grill staying or picnic tables?
I think we need to enhance it. Since we've got the grill there and we've got a bench, again, and we have budget in the future for shelters, I think that that would be good.
Adam, do you, off the top of your head, recall how many locations we have grills at? It's not.
It's not a whole lot. I would say, so Pebble has one, Clyce, and I believe it's just Goose Lake.
Oh, okay.
And Stonegate has one as well.
Good memory. To your knowledge, do they get used?
Good question. I think we find a lot more trash in them initially than anything, but I think, yeah, I think
I
they
think
get.
I've seen the one at Pebble used.
The one at Stoney gets used quite a bit because it's the Cub Scout Park. So they use it at their first year meeting when they hand out all the information. They do a little cookout on that grill. So that does get used
Yeah.
yearly.
I would agree. I think it's just, are you there, are you there to see it when it's getting
Sure,
used? No,
sure.
a
Yeah.
lot of times you're, quick in and outs and might not, daytime you're not gonna see it, but weekends, I think they're relatively used.
But I agree with Hank that if we have a table and potentially a shelter down the road, I think it'd be more liable to be used, even within the neighborhood for a neighborhood gathering.
One thing that was added to the Demontreville Park was the shade canopy. I don't know if any members have seen that. I don't know if you guys are in favor of continuing that trend or not. Technically, there's probably a little more shade around this area, especially in the morning and in the later evenings than you would in the middle of the day, but it's an option as well, pretty inexpensive. Wouldn't have to be.
I think that would be nice to have. I mean, they could propose it in the drawings, and
You look at
we
it.
could always drop it if we don't want it. but-
I have no idea what they're called, but the sort of rope web things that go vertically, I think are interesting to me because different ages can use it and go to the level that they're comfortable with, all the way up to teens, climbing on those, I don't know what they're called,
Yep.
rope structures. That comes to mind as something specific I'd be interested in seeing.
Price-wise, we good with sticking with the 65,000, or we'd like to increase, decrease?
Well, if we were to change it, then we're moving
Yeah,
it in
you're
CIP.
exceeding the CIP, but it'd be you'd be recommending it to city council for approval because it's coming out of your parks
Dedication.
dedication funds.
But we already have this in the CIB,
Correct.
correct?
Yep.
So we would be,
You'd just be asking to exceed the amount that's already in the CIP.
gotcha. Yeah, I don't know.
I guess I feel like 65,000 is probably appropriate for the playground area if we're talking about adding some type of pavilion, some soccer nets, that type of thing. I feel like a good proposal, I would be interested to entertain what it takes to do that. that's super general.
Yeah,
Yeah, unless we're gonna shoot in the dark, we have no idea what any of that stuff costs. And
Yeah.
so if you go to somebody like the city council and say, hey, we want an extra $30,000, they're gonna go, for what? Okay, so we're not to that point yet. But what we're telling you right now is we can see several different things that are potentially in that range.
Yep.
So, you know, if you were to come back and say, okay, well, to do this to the ballpark and to change it is gonna cost X amount, then that might be a good thing to do. And then we can make the decision about whether we do it with the playground set or we do it at another time.
Any other input? And Adam, are you seeking anything specific other than what we've provided? Is there any other bullet item that you'd like us to hit on?
nope, that is what I was looking for.
I just have a question. So, given, I don't have a lot of experience in this, but when whoever comes together with the options for the playground, do they ever come back with, here's what the 65,000 roughly will get you, but for another 10,000, this is like, is it easier to ask for it up front versus, you know, you see a 65,000 come back and you're like, oh, that's
Yeah.
not exactly.
Yeah, so I'll bring back the proposals likely at the next meeting, so I'll reach out to the vendors who've already started that process. So now they're just looking for specifics, do we want, you know, how big of a
Okay.
swing did you want, and did you want any specifics on that? So I'll bring those proposals back, and yes, that'll include options to like, you know, from that 65,000, that'd kind of be our base rate of what we'll be looking at. For an additional, you know, 10,000, you might be able to get this
Okay.
large rope swing or whatever, or, you know, a zip line or whatever, so.
Okay.
to add to it. Yep.
Okay. Thank you for that. We can move to our next agenda item, which is goal-setting representative.
So several months ago, I did indicate that we would be looking for a representative from the Parks Commission to sit on our city goal setting. This is done about every 2 to 3 years. It includes all department heads as well as the city council, and they're now including commissions. And so we're looking for the commission to recommend someone to attend that meeting. That meeting will be held on January 15th, and it's from 5 to 8. Part of the responsibilities for this representative will be to discuss the completed 2024 progress, along with last year's work plan. And they'll be asked to discuss 3 challenges facing the Parks Commission. So we're in this discussion, I'd like to, for everyone to also talk about those 3 things that that person should bring back to that goal-setting meeting. So, issue before us tonight is to nominate or select a person among the members to attend that January 15th meeting. And then let's discuss those 3 challenges the commission faces over the next few years.
All right. Well, if anybody wants to make a motion right off the bat, that could happen. Otherwise, we can just have a discussion beforehand regarding interest level for a parks representative, or your opinion on that. We could also just have a discussion about the challenges we think exist as well.
I think we should start with the challenges.
Okay.
And if someone's super passionate about that, maybe that's easy to nominate.
Sure. Okay. So, 3 challenges the commission faces over the next few years.
Let me start us out with number 1, getting a parks director.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate? You just want...
No, I think it's pretty clear what I'm talking about. That, well, this gets back to my kind of central point here, is that our priorities should really come from here. And one of the first things that it talks about in there is hiring a parks commissioner. And it's one of the things that we're going to put into our work plan next year, and it's one of the things that we're going to bring up with the city council. And so it is one of those things.
Okay.
Stealing your thunder, probably number 2 would be future funding of the park system. Can we transition from the park's allocation of resources from developments to more of a budgetary system? And there, I've already taken 2.
Yeah.
It's on my list too, so there you
Yeah,
go.
top 2, good job.
Okay, easy, easy.
Anybody else have a challenge?
Well, I guess in my mind, the other big issue that we talk about not infrequently is what's the city's plan for a pinwheel type, park, and what's the timeline associated with that? What do we need to do? How do we integrate what they're doing with what we need to be doing to create some synergies there?
I think along with that, we need to be more in the forefront of these developments that are coming to city council, to be more in the forefront of where the park is gonna be, what we're looking for, where these developments are, what quadrant of the city and what that park might need, right? We want, if the school's gonna move and take that adaptive park with it, we need to find a replacement for that, because you see the usage of it. So if we're getting a development in this north area, it'd be nice to be on the forefront of it. It seems like we get it last. We're like, all right, here's your park area, now make it work. Or we only have 6% of our area available for you, and we'll give you some funds. So I think we need to be in the forefront, kind of like the pinwheel, the same thing. Are we just gonna get a drawing from an architect or an engineer, say like, all right, here's what we want to do, you guys rubber stamp it? I think, Commissioner Ash is right, we need to be in the forefront of some of this stuff, so there's no surprises, and try to work together.
So kind of a proactive versus reactive planning.
100%.
Well, and
Reality.
integrated too.
Yeah.
Maybe, as was talked about, I think, by the city council, the pinwheel's only part of the answer. Maybe there's some kind of new central athletic field or something that went along with the pinwheel. Okay, well, those are the kind of discussions that need to occur.
Yeah, and I guess I would, I think that piggybacks quite nicely to say our trail system as well, which we hear about quite often. We're going to, if we're not careful, and allow development to be at the steer the process, we're gonna miss opportunities for trail connectivity. Obviously, the more development comes, the harder it becomes. So I think that keyword somebody just said, and that was Mike that just said proactivity, whether it's the development, being part of the developments, whether it's trail connectivity. I would also like to see more proactivity in working generally with the staff in just agenda setting and steering what we do month to month. That's been a challenge since I've been here, and I think it's a challenge going forward. So we are able to do some of these things with development, and trail connectivity. So maybe the challenge is proactivity for parks.
Yeah, well, I mean, the connectivity, we talked about that last month, opportunities to connect the new park with Sunfish Lake Park
Right.
could, that landscape could change real quick, and we might not have that opportunity. So trails and parks.
And other cities like Woodbury have figured it out.
Yeah.
Okay, somehow they've gotten the county and the state and developers all synced together to figure it out. And granted, we're not Woodbury, but we're on the road to Woodbury.
So.
No, but you take Lake
I-
Elmo, and that's the road to Woodbury.
I agree with the, as far as the parks with Woodbury, they're fantastic, fantastic. And so I think maybe it's proactivity and prioritization of parks, or the park system is maybe what I would advocate for as a third goal. Prioritization meaning we have a master parks plan. We have to, the challenge I would argue is that it be on the forefront, not the most important thing for everybody involved in the city, whether it's city council or something. It's not the most important thing, but it should be on people's minds as we do development, as we do, well, yeah, I'll keep it at that.
I agree that proactivity is really important, both for the park layout and the trails, and our current trails, to keep that. I hear that all the time at the city, Light Up the City thing. I was helping people cross the street, and so many people said, we need more crosswalks, we need more connected trails and things like that, and they're just talking about existing places. So I think we need to have those things under an umbrella as our third challenge, is to being proactive, looking ahead, and I think that would fall under our first option with the park supervisor. And we need
So it's a
someone
circle.
to overlook.
We have 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
which brings us back to.
They're all interconnected, and you can't have one without the other, I don't think,
Yeah.
in order to do a good job.
Well, and you can't plan for the future if there's not a sustainable funding model, right?
Yeah.
Well, so we could go about this two ways. I guess we could keep it as an informal discussion, or we could formalize our priorities. And I guess I'd like to hear from y'all as whether we want to do that. Meaning make a motion agreeing on the priorities, or just keeping it as I'm seeing Adam make notes, and keeping it for the representative that we make a motion, be able to have that discussion, rather than just a structured motion.
Do you know when our meeting is with city council? Is it before this meeting?
So, so that was one of the things, because the goal-setting meeting is set right after, because we were initially scheduled for the 14th.
Right.
We are gonna move our meeting with city council till February. So we'll piggyback with planning on February 11th.
Okay.
So we'll plan for our joint meeting on February 11th. That way we can identify these three goals and also implement them in our, with the whole commission and city council together.
And because of that, I withdraw my name from consideration because I'm going to be gone in February. So, yeah, I think it's important to have the same person in both meetings.
You were my number one candidate.
That's too bad. I hear a lot of energy from the other side of the table.
I am here and I would be happy to attend.
Oh, great, Ellen, thank you.
I nominate Ellen to be our representative, to carry forth this discussion and those goals that we've talked about tonight.
I second.
That was,
Bolsher,
Bolsher.
make the motion.
Okay.
Elam second.
Although, did you, we can
Oh,
have
no,
some.
that's
some
fine. We did not
We
need
have a
it.
second, we can have some discussion, sorry. I got carried away. Yes?
Nope, no discussion. I was getting ready to go down the line here.
Okay. I'll restate, the motion is to recommend Commissioner Ash to be the park representative for the January 15th meeting for the 3 challenges that we've identified as a group.
Esh, aye.
Barrett, aye.
Castler, aye.
Wilshire, aye.
Sturts, aye.
Elam, aye.
That is unanimous. And our next item is communications.
So as I just noted, again, that joint commission will be moved till February. So look forward, we'll likely take attendance just to make sure that city council is aware of who's all showing up that day. Please be aware, our January 20th meeting will be moved to the Wednesday because of the holiday, right? So be aware of that one. I believe our February meeting, we'll discuss that later, is actually on a Wednesday as well. So we'll have 2 back-to-back.
It always is the first 2.
First 2.
A
yeah.
month or
So
a year.
Prepare for that. We did open up our ice rink last Friday down here at Lions Park, so that is open. Today was probably a little warmer, it probably did get a little sloppy already, so as weather does cool down again, we'll continue to make ice, and we'll keep you updated on our Facebook page as well as our website as that continues to be open or closed. Like as indicated before, Demontville Park is completed. They completed that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I should say 3 weeks ago, as far as putting the final mulch and everything on there to complete that. So that playground is set and prepared for the spring as well. That is all I have.
Are there any commissioners with communications?
I don't know if this is communication more or less than it might be. The Light Up Like Elmo tree is on its side.
Oh.
I don't know if the wind got it today or what, because as I drove through downtown, I looked over, I'm like, what's going on? And it is laying down. I don't know if that's communication or not, but
That seems legitimate.
okay.
Okay. Any other communications? If not, we can take a motion to adjourn.
Esh, I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
We have a second.
Barrett, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn.
Esh, aye.
Barrett, aye.
Castler, aye.
Wilshire, aye.
Sturts, aye.
Elam, aye.
And we are adjourned at 7:16.
You're so efficient, Peter.
It's the whole